This is Bread 101, and today I want to show you a classic tin loaf recipe, but with 3 different techniques to adjust the flavour and the texture. So we're going to go for a classic yeasted dough, a Tangzhong, and a Poolish. We're going to start with our classic yeasted dough, and this is what we'd call a direct dough, and that means we just pour all our ingredients into a bowl and mix them. And you take a spatula and just mix it until there are no more dry bits. Now, by all means, you can mix this in a stand mixer, but we're going to do it by hand. And to knead the dough, you're going to take your hand and hold the back of the dough while using your other hand to press it away from you, stretching out, flip it back on itself, turn it 90 degrees, and repeat this process for 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes of kneading, the dough's still going to be pretty sticky and shaggy. We're going to cover it for 5 minutes. That's going to help develop more gluten. And after resting it for 5 minutes, you'll see the dough's already smooth. We're going to knead for another 5 minutes until the dough forms into a smooth ball like this. We leave that to prove until doubled. And after about an hour, you've got a dough that's risen really nicely. Now, I completely crumbled under the pressure of trying to film this process on camera, but you're going to shape it into a nice tight log, sealing it at the ends and making sure that your tin is lightly oiled. You're going to lift that dough into a bread tin, and now we prove it again just until it reaches the top of the tin. We lightly dust the loaf and then quickly and confidently score the centre with a razor blade before placing it in the oven with some steam. And there's your classic yeasted tin loaf with a lovely colour and a beautiful ear to the bake. Now, to make a Tangzhong, we need to make a paste by mixing together flour and water. And you simply cook it over a medium heat until it thickens into a sticky paste. And after about 2 minutes, it's going to look something like this. We put it into a bowl to cool. Now, because we're using a Tangzhong, we can actually increase the amount of water going into the dough. So we use the usual dough ingredients plus the cooled Tangzhong. Now, we're going to use the stand mixer for this one because we've already seen how we do it by hand. You're going to knead for 5 minutes on a medium speed. Turn it off. Let the dough rest 5 minutes, then knead for a further 5 minutes and shape it into a tight ball. And we let that prove until doubled. Now at this point, the process is exactly the same as the yeasted dough. So we're going to shape the dough, put it in the tin, let it prove, give it a little tap, tap, tap of flour, slash it down the centre with the razor blade. In the oven it goes, same temperature, same time, and your loaf's done. And once it's baked, you've got your classic tin loaf with a Tangzhong. Now, to make the Poolish dough, we need to make a Poolish, and it's simply a 1-to-1 ratio of water and flour with a little bit of yeast. So we add the yeast into the water. We whisk that through, and we add our flour on top. And all you do is stir that together to make sure the flour is absorbed. And now what happens is this ferments overnight for 12 hours, and this is going to add so much flavour to the bread. And after 12 hours, look how bubbly and active that Poolish is. And we just pour that into the bowl of a stand mixer with our remaining dough ingredients. And just as we've done before, we're going to knead for 5 minutes. And then we turn it off, we let it rest for 5 minutes. And we carry on kneading for 5 more minutes. We let that rise until doubled. And by now, you know what you're doing, right? You shape it, you slash it, and you bake it. Yeah, see, you got it. And just look at that Poolish loaf, fresh out of the oven. That looks amazing. Okay, let's start with this yeasted loaf, the direct dough method. Now, despite being simple, this is a wonderful loaf of bread, okay? Crispy on the outside, soft in the middle. And what's really great about this is it is a fundamental technique in basically all of bread baking, and it will take you so far. So it's a key technique to learn early in your baking career. Now, the Tangzhong method is very popular because of Japanese milk bread. And what we're doing is we're pre-gelatanising the starches in the flour by creating that paste. That allows the bread to take on more water, more hydration. So you're going to end up with a softer dough that stays softer for longer. It's fantastic for things like garlic dough balls or burger buns. So with the Poolish, we're creating what's called a pre-ferment, and it's kind of like a cheap sourdough. Not quite, but that's the idea of this fermented mixture that goes into the dough, and it's all about flavour, okay? Not only improving the flavour, but also the texture. I think it's great for things like these tin loaves, but also focaccia.